This is the My Inner Therapist podcast, and I'm your host, Nicole Seals. Join me in growing a community where we can privately share our stories and collaborate on ways to restore respect and value to the work we do. We can stay connected when you subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch the video versions of the show. Be sure to visit myinnertherapist.com to learn more about my private consultations, audio programs, and courses, along with all of the free advice and tips that I dish out at my Learning Hub. That's where I let it all hang out, and I encourage you to join me by sharing your comments on posts and videos. You can also connect with me on my LinkedIn page and my Facebook page at My Inner Therapist. Now, if that feels like you're doing too much, simply click on the link in the show's description or visit myinnertherapist.com and sign up for my newsletter. It'll arrive once, maybe twice a month, with goodies like discount codes, invitation to live Q&As, and links to everything I just mentioned. All right, it's enough with the intro. Let the session begin. Hi all, thank you for joining me today. I want to start off today's show by just letting you know that I am recovering from a bout of the flu. It has just knocked me to my knees. I have gotten my voice back, but it's not quite that strong. And it's also not cute to be hacking into a microphone. So I'm going to spare you my coughing spasms. And I'm going to actually take this opportunity to share with you a clip from a recent workshop that I did on limiting beliefs. And the focus of the workshop was in challenging our limiting beliefs. And what I do in this workshop is I have a great group, and we basically just kind of break down the origins of where our limiting beliefs come from, and then we just start practicing how to identify them and how they show up in our lives. And it's just some great information because people are really open and they share about what are some of the beliefs that they have. I put my stuff right out there as well. So I really think that this is a great opportunity for you to be able to listen along and also keep in mind, maybe do a little group work with us and see if you can identify similar patterns in your own ways of thinking and believing, or if maybe something pops up for you. One of the things that we're really going to be working on throughout this season is just getting better at practicing self-awareness and being able to gain insight into some of the patterns that we have, especially when it comes to limiting beliefs that we hold on to that are no longer serving us. So that's what this episode is about today. I hope you enjoy it. I will also just give you the disclaimer that the audio, you're going to hear some background noise in the audio because it was a large room and it's picking up all kind of background sounds. So just ignore that. Listen to the good tidbits. There's some good information in here. I hope you enjoy it. And we will, again, throughout this season, we will be continuing to talk about limiting beliefs and how we can go about changing those. So as always, please share this episode if you find it to be entertaining and informative. Make sure that you share it on your social media. And also, be sure to let me know if this is something that you want to hear more about. And you can do so by connecting with me through my newsletter, through my website, or simply just going onto your favorite podcast app and subscribing to the show and leaving a comment and letting me know your thoughts. We'll keep it simple. All right, enjoy. I ended up kind of going into this personal and professional journey in understanding beliefs a little bit better and the power that they play in our lives. And what I learned is that there are 3 different ways that we get our beliefs. We adopt them as children from our parents. So we come into this world having no beliefs, but we learn them from our parents, and they teach us how to engage with the world, how to engage with other people, how to think about ourselves, our identity. They also teach us about what our views are on religion, what our views are on marriage. So most of those we get from our parents.
Other times we adopt beliefs from our peer group. And that's during our adolescent years. We do that a lot to try to fit in. We do that a lot to conform because we don't want to be left out. We also create our own beliefs through our inner dialogue and our perceptions about the world around us. So we look around us and we create beliefs based off of that. And then we have that internal dialogue, that self-talk that we do constantly with ourselves. And we create beliefs based on that. So if you have bouts of negative self-talk, where you're constantly telling yourself that, you know, I don't have the education to get the job that I want, I don't have the money to go back to school, and you keep having that conversation with yourself, what does your belief eventually become? I can't go back to school. I can't get the job that I want. And so it's important that we understand the origin of those beliefs and where they came from, because we have to challenge them. And we have to challenge them because what happens over time is that we assume that our life, which is constantly changing, our life, which is evolving, the whole point of us being here is to grow. Growth is a basic human need that all of us share. Every single human being that is here has the need to grow. And we assume that we have this life where we're supposed to grow and things are supposed to change and we're supposed to evolve, that we can work off the same old belief blueprint that we got when we were 2. And we never think about looking at that to see if that even is applicable to the life that we have right now. It's like we're running off of old instructions. Do you guys remember, this is going to confirm my age right now, right? Do you guys remember the first computer?
Yeah.
Okay, they were huge, right? Yeah. My dad worked at IBM, and I remember when he bought it home, because me and my brother were like, what is that? And he flipped it on, and he put that floppy disk in there, and it started whirring. It was loud. It was really loud. And he's like, you know, he came and he brought us over, and he showed us how to use it. And the way that you played on the first computers were that you typed in words. That was it. So there was this one game called Adventure where you had this man and you would type in what you wanted the man to do. So if you wanted him to run, you would type in run. And you'd see him go across the screen like that. Right? We thought it was the best thing that's ever happened. We would sit there for hours and we played that game. That game ran off of DOS. Do you guys remember DOS? DOS was the programming software behind that first computer. Can you imagine today trying to run your laptops and your computers off of a DOS program? No. Absolutely nothing would happen. You may even blow up your computer. It might even shut it down altogether. But yet, we will live our lives that way. We'll live our lives based on some old rules that we've created for ourselves and think that that's going to get us to where we want to go. So what I'm suggesting to you is that we've got to accept that our beliefs at some point in time are either going to become outdated, they're no longer going to work for us, or they're going to be limiting, meaning that we've created them to really limit the possibilities, or they're going to just be based on false information. Maybe we adopted them based out of fear. We were afraid or fearful at the time, and we adopted them because it quelled our fear, it made us feel a little bit safer, but there really was no truth to it. And something that also happens quite often, I notice this a tremendous amount in my practice, is that we'll create beliefs that will protect us from pain and failure. That belief that I can never get that job that I want because I don't have the education, that's a belief that is created out of failure, your fear of failing. Because if you tell yourself that, you don't ever have to try. You don't ever have to expose yourself to failure. So we create a lot of these beliefs that kind of protect us, or we think that they're protecting us. And then we also have some belief systems, we don't even know why we have them. We have zero understanding of why we hold on to them. So we're going to talk a little bit more about those different type of beliefs. But I want you to just keep in mind the idea of what that process looks like when we're taking our old beliefs and we're looking at our lives and we're trying to come up with these new rules of engagement. And the process is really reviewing and then revising. We're reviewing our beliefs and then we're revising them to be applicable to our current life. And beliefs aren't about right or wrong. What happens when we believe in something is that we make it our reality. What I believe in, you may not believe in, but it doesn't make me right, and it doesn't make her wrong. They are our own individual rules for engagement. That's it. So we get to then decide what kind of rules we want to have based on the life that we want to have. So we're going to do a little group exercise to practice this.
Did you just say make up your own rules as you go along, basically?
Essentially, yes, because when you are creating beliefs, you are creating rules for how you want to engage with this world. And these beliefs are going to become your reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you create a belief that is rooted in you benefiting or being of good to other people, that is going to propel you forward. Because that kind of energy attracts other positive energy. When you create a set of rules that are damaging, hurtful, painful, those are going to create the same type of attraction. You're going to create additional pain. So you do get to decide what you want, because there's a lot of people out there right now who are living painful lives. There's a lot of people right now who are living in fear. There's a lot of people right now who are living in sin because they chose it. And that is what I'm suggesting, that we do get to make that decision. We are very powerful. We have the most powerful tool on this earth, and it is our mind. And we don't use it nearly as much as we need to. So the group exercise that we're going to do is we're going to just practice this review process of what reviewing our beliefs feels like. Because I know sometimes when I talk about changing beliefs, it makes people uncomfortable. So they're like, well, I mean, it's gotten me this far. Like, they can't all be bad. I might need to hold on to some of these. But I'm gonna challenge that a little bit tonight and see if we can consider that there are some rules in our lives, some beliefs in our lives that we need to take a second look at. So this first group, we're really going to look at the beliefs that we've adopted as kids in our childhood. And I'm going to put myself on blast, and I'm going to go first. And I'm going to have you guys share, okay? So these are some of the childhood beliefs that I had to work through. The first one is that it is a sign of weakness for men to show emotion. This was a belief that was rooted in my family. Everybody confirmed this belief for me as a kid. I grew up thinking that it was a sign of weakness for men to show emotion. One of probably the most predominant memories that I have as a child was I have never actually seen my father cry. And my father is now, I should know right off the bat how old my father is. We just celebrated his 80th, so he's about 81 now. I've never seen my father cry. There was a night when my father and my two brothers, they'd gone on a fishing trip, and they didn't come back when they were expected to. We didn't hear from them, and they didn't come home until about 6 hours later. And they came in just bruised up, bandaged up, and I overheard my mom talking to my dad, and my dad told her that when they were driving home, that he got tired and he fell asleep at the wheel. And he drove off the side of the road and they crashed. And my brothers got banged up pretty bad, and my dad actually ended up bruising some ribs. And they were in the room talking behind the closed doors, and my room was right across from there so I could hear them. My brothers and sisters used to call me 411 because I had all the information that was going on in the house because of my location. And that was the only time I've heard my father cry. I didn't see him cry, but I could hear him crying. And I think for him it meant a lot of shame, or was a sign of weakness. And so for me, that really was instilled in me. I grew up thinking that. Now, can you imagine how that's going to show up as an adult in a relationship? Can you see where that might cause some problems? So that's why I'm saying this is an example of how you can believe something as a child, and as you get older, it really is no longer a fit for your life. Another one is that you don't tell strangers your business. This was a solid rule in my household. You do not talk about what happens in this family outside of this family. And when I was doing social work, I noticed that this is a strong belief for a lot of culturally diverse families. It's a very strong belief. There's a lot of cultures that are very private about their lives. And so this was something that I really, believed in as a child, but then I got older and I started doing what I do, which is I got in the business of strangers telling me their business. It's what I did on a daily basis. So I actually changed that belief really quick because I needed to adapt to my work. Another one is kids should be seen and not heard. I actually talk to kids for a living, so I need to listen to kids. Kids have some very important details and information. Kids are also far more connected to their imagination and creativity, unlike us adults. So it helps us to connect to that wonderful energy that they have. And then the last one is you can't trust the government. This was a strong one in my family. I'll be honest with you, I still kind of believe in this one. This one has not disappeared 100%. And I can even say that having been a government employee, that job almost even confirmed it for me. Is that you should always keep a little side eye on them and be watching, make sure what they're doing. Okay, so any brave soldiers who want to share a childhood belief that either you still hold it or belief that you realize that you had to change because it wasn't serving you at all? Yes, Kathy.
Well, in my childhood, the women and the girls did the domestic chores. The men or boys didn't do it, and I changed that one really quickly.
So you changed it with your own kids or your own family?
Well, I did. When I was in college, I started changing.
Okay.
I never really liked that.
Yeah, please. I can see why you didn't like that. Did the boys have any chores?
Well, I'm talking about like cousins and so on. We don't have any boys in the family, but my dad, basically, he did the men's things, but he didn't do anything. I mean, he learned how to microwave. That was about it.
And that actually is really common. Like it was the same way in my household too. That was exactly how my household was as well. Anybody else? Sylvia.
You can judge a book by its cover.
Yes. Do you still hold that belief?
No, not at all. I've really revised this opinion, and it's not true. Life has taught me that you cannot judge a book by its cover.
Yes.
You cannot judge people by the way they look. It's just not true.
And that's what life does, right? As you grew and your mind expanded, and I'm imagining as you met more and more people outside of that little bubble that we live in, that helps to change your mind. It helps to change your belief. Exposure is a great way to help change your beliefs. Anybody else have a belief?
This is the way it's always been. So,
I hate that one.
Yes. I'm a renegade. And always out of the box.
Yeah. So you're the out of the box thinker.
No, it's like too small. I'll see you. I'll tell you when I get there.
And have people appreciated that?
It usually still gives they usually need a little time.
Yeah.
Like when I came here, I've been here 3 months, and I just put a few things in the car, and I drove 2 days, and I came.
Ow.
I didn't tell anybody. None of
Just
them.
rolled out in the dark and just.
I didn't tell anybody
Okay.
that I was leaving.
I think about doing that sometimes too, but I'm super excited that you did it.
2,000 miles, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to. I just didn't want to hear anything else other than.
Because what is the likelihood that someone would have tried to talk you out of
Oh,
it?
it was very likely.
Yeah.
from all kind of different aspects, including my children and siblings and my mom. But at the same time, they through the years they know.
Yeah.
I might call from you and say, okay, this is my new address, my new phone number.
Oh, good for you. I mean, you can't get any more variety than that, right? But variety is another basic human need that we have.
Mhm.
And you sound like you're always keeping it spicy and adventurous.
Living. I mean,
Good for you. One of the things that I said I hated that belief, and I do have a strong aversion to it. I'm just going to completely own that because it's incredibly limiting. Think of how limiting that is when you think that way, that things are always done this way. You have just now told yourself that I can never do anything outside of this way, and the answer to your life and your dreams could be on the outside of that. And you have just completely shut yourself off from it. So I'm glad you shared that, because that really is a perfect example of what a limiting belief is. You would also raise your hand?
Oh, my father firmly believed that women were to be barefoot and pregnant.
In the kitchen.
And I did everything but. I went and got my master's, flew into space. I went to corporate America, worked for M&M Mars and Bristol Myers. To heck with that. He never talked to me again.
Oh, really?
Really, yeah.
Now, do you have people who now look, people in your family or whether it's friends who now look up to you because you opened their minds? Maybe they had that same belief and now you've opened their minds?
No, I seem to have associated with my friends, through ski clubs or whatever when I was, that age.
Mhm.
They were all, going into professions. So I was of that generation. So, I had that support group.
Yeah.
Not knowing that that's what I had accumulated around me, but that's what I did. They became school teachers and principals and did all of that. And,
Yeah.
I realized that, I prefer that.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful example, and it's Doris.
Yes, it is.
That's a wonderful example that Doris shared because you had mentioned earlier about making your own rules, right? So Doris decided to go and make her own rules. She ended up attracting women who thought just like her, and they became an amazing support group for her. So that's what happens is when you do step outside that box and you start to think a little bit differently, and if it's in a really positive direction, you will then attract all the things that you need into your life to help you meet that goal. That's how life works. But we've just been taught to think a little bit differently. We've also been taught to think from a very fearful place that really keeps us stagnant in our lives. Anybody else have a childhood belief that they want to share? Yes.
The police are bad and they'll get you.
Yes. I felt that same exact way. And I think, too, a lot of that can be related to where you grew up. Because if you grew up in certain neighborhoods, that's all you saw. So, of course, it's going to become your belief system. And that's also a hard one to shake because they're in a position of power. So they can always kind of confirm that for you. And that didn't change for me until I went to go work at the police department. My life had evolved to this place of where I'm now, like the people that I was told to watch out for are now protecting me. And I had befriended them, and I trusted them. So it gave me a new respect for law enforcement. Do you still feel the same way, or do you feel yourself slowly?
I raised a troubled teenage boy, so it still kind of felt that way because, things would get out of hand and, but I mean, logically in my head, I know I feel differently, but yeah, there's still an element of that. I can't say that it's completely gone, but I recognize it for what it is, but it doesn't mean that I can change that,
Yeah. Beliefs are hard to move on from.
Yeah.
When they're really strongly rooted like that, they can be a challenge to move on from. Yes.
I don't know if I'm on the right side. I think that was on the same side, which is a little different, but for me, with my dad, it was a really strongly, it still is pushed on me at my age now, was basically that it was, the most important thing in life was to have a family. To have a family and keep a roof over their heads and be the man and go to work every day, no matter what that job was. It wasn't so much about chasing your dreams, it wasn't anything about doing what you want to do or chasing your dreams. It's like for my family, I'm the only one I was the only boy, and our family is pretty much gone dead off. Like, you're the only one that can carry on the name.
Oh, pressure.
And nothing else is going to impress me, but
Right.
like I can call him up and tell him I just got the greatest job, whatever, in the world, and it's just like, all right, well, when are you going to get a girl knocked up and get out? That's the thing.
But I mean, what you just shared, though, and I appreciate you sharing that, is what so many men are trapped in to believe. And then what happens is you go to that job and you work really hard and you come home to a life that you didn't necessarily ask for and you get resentful, right? And it starts to affect your marriage. Then you want to spend less and less time at home. Then you don't. So that's what I'm saying is we can still continue to buy into these beliefs. We just have to accept the consequences of what's going to happen as a result of that.
All right, that's a wrap for today's show. Help our community to grow by rating the show in your app and share it on your social media. Or you can just tell people about it in the break room at work tomorrow. Thank you for sharing this time with me, and remember, You can let your education limit you or liberate you. Choose wisely. Until next time, friends.